I taught you how to create this chair and add some texture to it, you can, see that the texture was not really looking great, as I also talked about this in my previous video. It was looking very stretched from here, like, it's not really uniform across the whole chair. It's very in a horizontal direction here, it's vertical. It's looking like very stretchy over here. So what we can do actually, like in a better way, we can actually assign texture to our chair. And you can actually, you don't have to do the entire chair again, of course, but here I'm just showing you how you can do it in a better way. But so when you are creating your own furniture, you will keep this in mind. So instead of applying the texture on this entire chair, what I'm going to do, I'm going to select just the faces, these faces first. Okay, so just on top part and the seat part separately, I want to assign texture, and it's a different technique that I will be using, which will make it look a little better than the previous one. So I'll just select this one. Then I am going to go to this UV editing mode. Previously, I had actually used the shading mode to add textures, but this time I'm going to use the UV editing mode. So when I'm in the UV editing mode, you will see that there are two screens now side by side, and this part is selected, and this is where the texture will be applied. So first of all, that what I'm going to do is, just while this portion is selected, I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to UV unwrap faces. Okay, and I want to unwrap, which means all these faces which are selected and are highlighted in orange are going to be unwrapped, and they will be placed over here, as you can see. Okay, you can adjust this if you want. Like for example, you can select, let's say, this vertex, and then this vertex, press G, and then you can like make it straight if you want. From here also, just try to spread this out evenly onto the entire portion. I'll tell you why this is needed. Okay, and how, and even if you don't do it, it's just gonna be okay, because it's just a wooden texture in this case. We don't have to be super precise here, but just make sure that the whole thing is over the surface. Okay, like that. Okay, so once you have this, you are going to select this whole thing, right? Which means all these faces are unwrapped on this, and I'm going to now apply the texture over here. So I'm just going to go to image, open, and I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'll select the same wooden image which I had downloaded from the internet. So when I click on open image, it's going to apply the texture over here. Okay, but the other thing that I have to do, the texture has been applied, but it hasn't been assigned to the chair. So what I'm going to do is, I'll just go to the material properties. I'll click on new material. Okay, and instead of choosing the textures from here, I'm just going to go to the base color. Instead of white, I will just click on this yellow little dot. Okay, and I'm going to go to the image texture, and then from this drop down, I'll select this wooden texture which is here, because I have actually selected it. Okay, so when I do this, okay, it will show up here. It's showing a wooden texture, and then all I have to do is just assign this material. Just press it once or twice, I think it's gonna be okay. Then you can go back to your layout mode and use this viewport shading mode to see that the texture has been applied. Okay, so this is a little bit better than the previous one, because it was really, in the previous one, it's looking very stretchy. Okay, you can actually just also do the same over here. Like here, what you can do, you can select these faces. Okay, like that. Okay, yeah, so all of these faces the same way, right? And go to UV editing. All right, unwrap these faces. Okay, they are here, and then select the whole thing. I'm going to press S and X so that I can stretch this, and then G to put this on the whole thing, the texture. Once again, I think S and X once again, just to make it a little bit more elongated so that it covers the screen. Okay, like that. And once this is done, I will assign this as well to this part. Okay, it's already selected, like the material is already there. I only have to just assign it to this portion as well. And then if I go to layout, see, this is how it's gonna be now. It's all in the same direction. It's not really looking stretched and it's looking quite uniform. Okay, you can, same way like in my previous video, add the subdivision surface modifier and solidify to make it more smoother. So it's looking smooth now. Okay, just apply this. And then the last thing that I had taught you in my previous video also was just to solidify it and add a bit of a thickness to the chair. Okay, so this is how it's going to look like, and it's quite uniform, like the texture is applied very cleanly now and in a neat way onto the object. So this is a better way of doing it, like select the back face and the seat separately and then attach the texture rather than using the whole object and then attaching the texture. So this might be helpful for your projects.